And welcome. I need to get used to that. I'm not going live. I'm doing my intros and then finding out we're not live. Avi's always looking at the top right, so I should be maybe getting the call from him. But welcome all. It was a big weekend. We built it up for a big weekend. There was a few banana skins. Liverpool were home to Brighton. City away from Bournemouth after their achievement last week in beating Arsenal at home, and City and Arsenal themselves a tricky 12:30 tie. And those fans climbed up about 10 million clouds up in the away end to see their team lose 1-0 at the point where there was around about, was it about 40 minutes into the game or 50 minutes into the game? Someone turned to me and tapped me on my shoulder and said, City are 2-0 down. And I just got flashbacks when Liverpool City were 2-0 down. Someone told me last time City were 2-0 down against Villa. And I thought, you know what am I going to say when we win the title? But it wasn't as important as that, but it was definitely a pivotal weekend in the Premier League. But Liverpool, the Anfield factor happened. The crowd got up. And I must thank Estepinian for really pissing off the Anfield crowd and pissing off Trent Alexander-Arnold in the second half, because that really revitalized the crowd. But welcome, smash a like, do all that good stuff. Let's give our sponsors a shout, not after an hour and a half, but a minute and a half. Schnuckelig.com, where the game, that's their slogan. Head over, get all the good Liverpool merchandise and everything they do. So head over and show them support and love. Boys, that's all the formalities out of the way. How are we doing?
No, go on, you go first.
Thank you,
Sarib and Abi, shorter words. Come on, lads.
Thank you, Sarib. Everything's good. Asim, good game yesterday. Good League Cup game as well. I know you lot covered post match. Gakpo hit a bit of form. He's played well, to be honest, since the start of the season. He's had some good cameos, but now trying to cement his place in the starting lineup. And yesterday was a tough game. We'll go into it. I thought Brighton were full of energy. I like the manager, Hustler. He's American born.
Hertzler.
Yeah,
American born. And then obviously moved away to Germany and whatnot as a young kid. And, he speaks very well, very young as well. He's what, 34, 35?
31, Avi.
Yeah, he's just a year older than me. So it was a good performance, but they were full of energy, and I'm surprised like a few players were missing for Brighton yesterday. Actually, I thought Lamptey, his energy on the right, we might have got the pick, but I know he likes Joel Veltman, who's been a ever present for that Brighton team for the last few years. So it was a good performance all in all. First half, we'll go into it. Asim, we were very short, but I don't want to call him the tinker man or the tweaker man, but Slot gets it right eventually. And second half, the substitutions made a difference, but 3 points, we go marching on. City drop points, which is always good to see. The more points they drop, the better. And then the Gunners are falling on their ass. No pun taken, but it looks as if they're struggling.
I just got that one.
I'm not trying to be funny, but it does seem as if their season is slowly falling apart. I don't know how they make up 7 points with Chelsea next week away. That's a tough game. It could be 10 points already, and you don't want to be chasing 10 points, especially with a Liverpool team and a City team that will get 90 plus come the end of the season.
Yeah, 100%. Mads is in the house. Thank you very much for joining in the impromptu Friday night call-in show, Sarib, where we were filling in for some people. But anyway, moving on swiftly. He says, Asim, your Gomez first goal score prediction almost happened. But whatever happened, Sarib, you predicted Brighton to score the first goal, and you got your wish, or you got your prediction.
Always negative, isn't it? It's always negative, but wanting the opposition.
He did predict 3-1 though.
Oh,
he did predict 3-1 though.
That just shows he doesn't watch the shows.
No, I watched the intro. I didn't watch the end of it. But I think Thorsten was the South African guy, wasn't he?
Who was?
The Mads Thorsten. He was from South Africa, I think.
No, Denmark.
Denmark. My bad.
Denmark. Sarib, how are we doing? What's going on? A relief.
Yeah, relief. I'm doing all right, to be honest. Liverpool are top of the league, and as weeks go on, as games carry on going, Liverpool just impressed me more and more. Obviously, it was a great weekend. You could say the perfect weekend, with City losing, Arsenal losing earlier on the 12:30 kickoff, and then we had a ball draw between Chelsea and Manchester United. So all in all, Liverpool are the only team kind of out of the top sides that won. If you can slide Forest in there as well. Forest too have been really, really impressive. And hold my hands up, I had them to get relegated this season, and Nuno to be sacked. And unfortunately, they've proven me wrong. But other than that, Liverpool impressed me yet again. Don't really have anything negative to say today, to be honest. I'm going to be positive today. We're top of the league. We're 7 points ahead of Arsenal, 5 points ahead of Manchester City. He told me this even in August, the first game, 2 games, 3 games of the season, that by the start of November, we're going to be 7 points clear at the top of the league of Arsenal and 5 points clear of Manchester City. I would have called you stupid, but look,
Yeah.
I've got egg on my face, haven't I?
Okay, we'll come to title predictions later on. I'm sure a few more will remind me as well of my prediction. But Avi, when I started watching that game yesterday and it was playing out, I thought, you know what? And honestly, I'm not just saying it but I kept on telling myself even before the game, because what we've had is a bit of a sample size against Arsenal and Chelsea, where we've seen and at times given them too much respect. Everyone's been talking about. It's not, a secret anymore that this 4-2-4 press at times it is very, very passive, and when it is passive, it's very, very easy to get, to bypass that structure. But I feel like when you come up against sides like Brighton, sometimes you have to play. And I tweeted it after the game, like Liverpool and Slot took a leaf out of the Klopp playbook, where if you can't play football against a footballing side for 10-15 minutes, you need to roll your sleeves up and earn the right to play. And I thought we exactly did that. But first half, why do you think Liverpool struggled so much?
You know what? They had good runners, Asim. And when I mean good runners, they had good players that could just pass the ball in short spaces. I want to go. I'm not sure. China's never spoken about him, so that's how much he, the amount of trips he does to Turkey tells you he doesn't know about anything about Turkish football. But Kadioglu, I want to give him a shout out because his energy on that right hand side, coming in, cutting in, making that extra man's count. And I tell you, who was key for them? That Jorginho Rota, the Frenchman. I thought he was Dutch, sorry, but he was French actually. His dropping back and Welbeck be the main target.
He's so strong.
He had energy. He had pace. He was no slouch because of that 1-1. Van Dijk couldn't really catch up with him. I know he puts him off for that Kelleher save, but his running, that was good. Matoma, you always know, he can go left or right. He's a great dribbler. We know about his thesis and the way he sort of had Trent. I thought first half he had Trent on toast. Defensively, second half I thought Trent was magnificent, but Ayari and Hinchelwood just does that role, that sits in there, very disciplined. But you had Ayari, Kadioglu, and Rata. Those 3 men, they were playing triangle passes against us at some points, especially from the 30th to the 45th minute. They were very sharp. And then you got Estupinian, who likes to get forward. Veltman, like I said, the ever-present veteran now, at 31, 32, who is a solid right back. They were just comfortable, and I think Van Dijk alluded to it. We only got 2 victories in 9 against this Brighton team. So whether it was Potter, De Zerbi more, we do struggle against teams who've got a structure in place. And this manager, Hustler, you said Sarib Hustler?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Who's taken over. It just seems as if it's a smooth transition from Potter, who set the foundations, to De Zerbi, who had them going, and then Hustler, who's come in. So their recruitment in coaching and player recruitment is phenomenal. And I think it took us till second half to figure things out. And the 4-2-4, they were bypassing that at will at the best of times, Asim. And sometimes when you're playing against good footballing teams and you can't match them, you've got to do something different. And different is something that we did in the second half.
Sarib, you're probably tearing your hair out in that first half like everybody else. But I thought that was one of the worst. Never mind Slot's tenure. That was one of the worst Liverpool performances I've seen in the last 10 years. It was that bad.
Yeah, Asim, I'll be honest, it was pretty bad. But like I said on the previous show, Brighton can do that to you. They're a good footballing side. They play with intent. They come there, they have their game plan, and they try to execute the best they can. At times they can be exposed because of how expansive they can play. But I think they're a really, really solid team, and they have been a really, really solid team for a couple of years. Starting with Potter to De Zerbi, like Avi said, now Fabian Herzler's taken over the reins, and they've been really, really consistent. And over the last couple of years, they have caused a few problems for Liverpool. Last season, they went 1-0 up, but ultimately our quality showing through the 2-1 win. The year before that was a 3-3, the Trossard hat-trick. They've beaten us at Anfield during the lockdown season, so they have come to Anfield previously and caused us a bit of a problem. And we go to their ground, we're not particularly great there either in the last couple of years. So again, that first half I thought it was really, really bad. The way they were popping the ball around, I couldn't believe what I was watching. You'd expect that with an Arnie Slot side, especially how we're so obsessed with playing through the midfield areas. I would have expected something like that from Liverpool. But what I do like about Arnie Slot is that he identifies the problem. He identifies the way the opposition is playing and how they're causing us problems, and he rectified that in the second half, which we'll get into. But ultimately, Asim, it was a shit show in that first half, and Brighton deservedly were 1-0 up and could have easily been 2 if Callagher didn't make that 1v1 save. So
Asim, also, I think positionally, we look in our midfield area, especially. I know you've spoken about it before, but that's the boss like Gravenberch, McAllister midfield yesterday. It was outshone yesterday by their three. Not just for energy, but just they took control of the game, which our three couldn't do. McAllister was struggling. Szoboszlai, he's out of touch. He's not with it. And the 4-2-4, it becomes non-existent when you got teams like Brighton who are so comfortable from playing it from the goalkeeper to the defence to get it out of the defence into the midfield and forward areas. Our midfield struggled. Gravenberch was fine, but even him, positioning-wise, for the first goal, I didn't think he was looking around enough of where the other runners were in behind him. And that's where Kadioglu's goal eventually comes from that double sort of overlap that Tsimikas, was trying to catch for. But, he hit it really, he struck it really well. It was a really good goal. But I just thought that our three, they just went up to scratch. We didn't have a ball carrier as such. And I know our second goal was signs of Curtis Jones from where he picked up the ball and where he ran and the 1-2 with Diaz. We'll come on to that, but we just didn't have a midfield player in that to get us out of trouble, if you know what I mean. We just didn't have it.
Well, I felt sorry for our midfield. Yeah, their individual performances, the intensity levels weren't there, but the amount of times that everybody, even Szoboszlai, even Salah, even McAllister, I have not seen for a long time. I know I'm saying 12 games is a long time now, but even against Arsenal, Chelsea, there weren't massive gaps between McAllister and the first line of press. And the structure wasn't right. But a lot of people are saying we don't like this 4-2-4. Why does Slot keep going to it? The 4-2-4, in theory, is an aggressive press. It has to be aggressive on paper, and it has to be aggressive on the pitch. On the first half, it was nowhere near it. But I think Slot, I heard a press conference, and he said something like, the interpretation I got out of that interview, he said, look, we were surprised in the way they played. And now I don't watch Brighton week in, week out, and I don't know if that what they did on Saturday was completely different to what they normally do on a weekly basis. But from that comment, they surprised Liverpool because of what Slot said. But the reason I say I feel sorry for our structure and the players around it who were involved on Saturday afternoon was every single play, especially in their first and second phase, they had a man over. And rotations, Liverpool were confused by. You could tell at times they were just playing through our press, and Szoboszlai was just putting his heads up because they were just going through. Their defenders are so comfortable on the ball in coming in defense. Their double pivot was so comfortable in just alternating between themselves to go and splitting the centre backs. And then they had a 3v2 with Nunes and Szoboszlai looking. If we press, and they can use the keeper as well, either a 4-2 or a 4-3, and then the fullbacks are high. So Salah and Gakpo have got a decision to make. Do we really go aggressive and press the keepers and squeeze the ball higher up? But their players are so comfortable in either pressing out or bypassing it with a diagonal ball. And then you've got Gravenberch and McAllister. Either only one of them was only aggressive, and you could see that gap. They had a man over in every single phase of play, and they were kept on playing it through. And our defense was just, it felt like a bit like 2 years ago where Fabinho and these guys just get bypassed, and Gomez and Ibou were running backwards rather than squeezing play because the mass gap was too big to cope with. And then you've got, who else did I, the fluidity between Brighton's off the ball and on the ball is honestly it was a pleasure to see. But you're right. Slot said we had to do more running, but I've kept on saying it. Trent inverting gives us more control. It's a braver policy, and you have to rely on your right back, especially against a winger like Mitoma. But I feel like to really gain control, more against footballing sides, we need Trent to come into midfield more. That is the only way to match up with someone. And if they go man to man, that's fine, because we've got the likes of Nunes and Jota and Szoboszlai and Salah to really go and make use out of those long balls or vertical balls from aggressive play. But I feel like we need to see it, and we only saw it in the second half. He's a brilliant tweaker, but I want Liverpool to be brave from minute one, because you can't rely on or keep on relying on 45 minutes of football to turn a football game around.
I agree with exactly what you're saying. That first half was a shit show, and I don't think we were as aggressive in our press as we usually can be. But you have to understand as well that I don't want to be negative, but we're still in a transition phase of Arne Slot. This team is still getting used to this control style of play. They've been installed into them for playing this continuous high press. We've got a lot of frantic players in attack, especially Salah, Diaz, Nunes, Szoboszlai. All they want to do is run. But Gravenberch and McAllister are not those type of players. They're controllers. They like the ball to feed. They like to drive with the ball. And maybe that's why, especially with McAllister, because I see with Alexis McAllister a lot more than I see with Ryan Gravenberch, because Ryan Gravenberch's long legs get him out of trouble sometimes. But Maka doesn't get close to his opposition. When Maka doesn't have the ball, I think he struggles on the ground. He struggles to get across sometimes. Maybe that extra yard of pace he doesn't have compared to Szoboszlai and Diaz and Nunes, etc., etc. And I think that's what you was talking about last week, where you want Curtis Jones in there as well at times. And I agree with you, because yesterday I think McAllister was pretty bad.
Asim, I do want to come into that. I get what you're saying. I get you, they had the overlaps, their formation, they had the two fullbacks who were,
high,
and the defense was comfortable, but we couldn't get a grip of the game in the middle. So Szoboszlai and McAllister, how many wayward passes did you see them play in the first half? Yeah, Trent was awfully bad with his passing first half. And that's something that I said it very early on. I can see where Slot and Trent forget all the off the field stuff that's going on with contracts and what. But I feel that he'll have to rein that in. Because that's not a typical Slot fullback. If you see what he's had, he's like short pass fullbacks. Yes, when you get on the edge of the box, you will cross it in, or when you've gone past you're in the final phase, you will cross it in. But what Trent tries to do, it's almost signs of desperation. And that's not what a Slot team is. Yesterday I tweeted it that Slot would have hated this ding-dong. He would have hated that last 10, 15 minutes. Where previously against Chelsea, we looked comfortable at 2-1 even. But yesterday, the last 10 minutes, they were nervy. They were Klopp nervy. Let's not beat around the bush. That would have been a game which he would have hated. And he will go back to the drawing board on Monday and say, listen, I don't want to see that last 10 minutes. Even if there's only a goal in it, we cannot go gun-ho, because eventually you do get caught out. And that game could have easily been a draw. Like on another day, we could have been looking at our second loss of the season.
I think the issue for me is not that Trent's not inverting. The issue is the personnel that we have. I agree with you. Trent in midfield, especially from inverting from the right-hand side, gives us more control. But that is not the issue. We can play well without Trent inverting. And for most of the season, that's what we've been doing. It's very little times that we've seen Trent inverting this season. We're comfortably top of the league at the moment. The issue is we don't have the correct personnel to play this way, which is why in the summer, I said we still need a Zubimendi or somebody that can get on the ball and play left and right. Because then if we had someone like Zubimendi, what is the need for Trent to invert into midfield? We don't need it, because we already have a controller in there. And
I'm almost tempted to say, Asim, games against Brighton, you see Ayuri and Hinshelwood, they were there pretty much. Ayuri was the one that was going forward more. And then you got Kadioglu, who was on the right-hand side, right? But sometimes you just want, McAllister last season when he was in that 6th role, by itself, quotations, at times last season, that's where I'd like to see McAllister against a Brighton.
Where do you want to see McAllister?
Almost as a 4-3-1 as a build-up in the first half. I thought we should have seen that. Like a grab McAllister, just stay put where you are. But we saw McAllister getting stretched, and it could have been because they had runners and we were trying to go man to man, but he was getting way too pulled away on either side on the left. Or
the reason why that happens, Avi, is because Rutter, Jorginho, and Welbeck were cover shadowing unbelievably well. Them two up front, they were alternating between a 4-4-2 if Liverpool pinned them. It didn't happen a lot in the first half, but Mitoba can really track the overlapping fullback, and they can go into a 5-4-1. They can go into a 4-4-2 as well. And them two were just sitting and taking in turns who sits on Gravenberch and who prevents Liverpool progressing the ball through the center of the midfield. And when you've got a really aggressive press that prevents central progression, then that's the reason why you mentioned McAllister, and we saw even Curtis and McAllister doing it against Arsenal as well and Chelsea, where you just try to receive outside of that pressing block. But the problem is, the reason why I like Curtis Jones doing it rather than McAllister is McAllister will receive it out of the block and put it down line, and you have to give it them fullbacks credit as well, because they're really aggressive. And you saw sometimes McAllister just popping it down line, and Gakpo and these guys weren't first to the ball, and they turned the ball over, and Liverpool was suddenly facing this counter-attack. But the problem with, the benefit of Curtis Jones is when he receives it from the outside of the block, he can carry it as well. Yeah. He's a better ball carrier than McAllister, and he's got more legs. So I prefer Curtis Jones doing that than McAllister. And if we do lose the ball, then McAllister hasn't got he can counter press well, but he doesn't have the legs to get back into structure again in the center of the park. And that's the problem. Sometimes Liverpool were faced going down traps, and you have to give credit to Brighton. The press was really, really aggressive. But after about 25 to 30 minutes, I think there was a break in play. Maybe one of the times that McAllister was injured on the ground, and he called Gravenberch, and he wanted him 10 yards wider. He was talking to him for a good 3-4 minutes. And if you go back and watch the game, you'll see Gravenberch picking up positions when their keeper had the ball 10 yards wider. So when the diagonal went from the centre backs or the keeper, bypassed Salah, Gravenberch was in a lot better position. If it wasn't Trent really going full on with the fullback, it happened a bit in the second half. But after 30, 40 minutes, we started controlling proceedings. And then when we needed half-time, 100%, I think it was a lot better. Liverpool changed shape. We made the subs. Liverpool were really aggressive, went 4-2-4/4-4-2, and we really took the game to them. And the benefit of having Trent against Sarib in midfield is it allows us have McAllister and Szoboszlai even occupying positions higher up the field. So when they're occupying higher up positions, higher up the field, it's a lot harder for the opposition to squeeze you, because
the issue is personnel. Then the issue is clearly personnel.
No, not really. The structure is more of a problem.
That's also a problem.
Huh?
That's also a problem. But we're going to play this way because we were supposed to sign a number 6 that plays on the ball. We're playing this way because somebody.
I don't think the number 6 is the problem here. Gravenberch wasn't the problem yesterday.
But Asim, I kind of agree with personnel. Like,
why is Trent inverting?
If you got a Zubimendi, if you got a Zubimendi in that team, you have far better control.
Yeah,
you would have far better control because you've got someone whose main profession is to be sitting in that 6 role, who can give and go, who can almost do like what we were asking for in Curtis Jones when he came on yesterday. If we had that from the off, I think we would have more control of the ball and would have much more possession, and we wouldn't have been a gun-ho approach in the first half. Well, not first half, it was kind of one-sided from Brighton because they were doing all the attacking and we were struggling to keep up with them in terms of pressing them, in terms of harassing them, in terms of like closing down their angles. They were finding holes through our system. And Asim, going forward, when you got Morgan Rogers, Jacob Ramsey and McGinn next week, and I know they got battered today, but those 3 are runners. We could have a similar problem. If we go with this midfield, Szoboszlai, Mac, and Gravenberch into next Saturday's game, we'll be struggling for that first half. Because those
why you tell me, sorry, you can take this as well. Why did we look so much better from minute 45 then?
The slot changed. Slot changed at half time.
The intensity.
So why is personnel a problem then? I understand what you need.
The intensity wasn't there. No, the intensity wasn't there either. I agree with that. But he must have. He changed it. He alluded to that. They changed the shape, and he had a word with them at the second half. But Asim, again, it was the turn of the substitutions that got us back in the game. It was 1-0 up until
we were the better team from 45 to 70 as well, Avi. Generally speaking,
we were, but we weren't that better. Yes, we had more pressure, and we were like literally on their final pace. We had Van Dijk and Gomez who were inside their half. I understood, but we still we were still figuring things out. We weren't creating clear-cut chances. Yes, Gomez should have scored on another day with that header. I think he alluded to it that he might have thought he was offside, but there were glimpses of chances, but it didn't really motor until we made those substitutions.
Does Curtis Jones start? Sorry, go on, Sarib.
No, go on. Ask the question.
I was going to say to you, does Curtis Jones start for you now?
Yeah, he starts in the number 10.
Avi?
I'm not dropping.
I think the Arsenal was the wrong game to judge him because we knew Arsenal were going to be more at home, especially. They were going to have more of the ball. They had something to prove. They couldn't lose that game, so they were going to create chances. I think Curtis Jones has to be a mainstay in this team right now, Asim. I think he does.
Yeah, I agree.
He offers us something different. I tell you what's changed with Curtis Jones, not only maturity, but his final decision-making now. How many times previous seasons we said he's got all the tools, but that final decision when he hogs onto the ball, when he holds it on for too long, that's his downfall. But now he's releasing when he needs to. That second goal was epitome of how far he's come. Gets the ball from his own area, right? Runs with the ball, gets past two. Doesn't do anything fancy. Doesn't do any step-up-with. He's just going direct. Plays a 1-2 with Diaz, and then that's it. He releases that ball, that weight of that pass to Salah on the right occasion. And how many times have we come back about Dominic Szoboszlai, just that weight of the pass, he just hasn't got it right this season. So for me, Curtis Jones has to be a mainstay in that team, but it's an area that we definitely have to address in January.
So let me ask you a question, right? You said basically we gained more control in the game when Trent started to invert. That gave us more control, especially in the midfield area, and then we started to apply pressure to Brighton. Bear in mind, we were also 1-0 down, so I think eventually we would have put pressure on them anyway. So if Trent gives us more control inverting, why doesn't Slot just do it from minute one then? Why doesn't he just do it from the start?
Because you can't do it all the time. Maybe obviously you have to take
respect the opposition too, right?
I was just coming to Mitoma. I was coming to Mitoma. You don't want to be predictable all the time, but I think generally speaking, he wants Trent or he's generally in fullback, especially the right back, to be more involved in the second and third phase.
Yeah, of course.
I think that's a principle of Slot. So maybe he's getting, like you touched on, Sarib, he's getting to know the team as well.
Yeah,
but when we really, and this is the reason why we couldn't get anywhere Brighton, because their DMs were taking it in turns to pop into the third centre-back positions, splitting the centre-back, and letting the full-backs go higher. And Liverpool were confused. They didn't know whether to go or not. And there was massive gaps in the midfield as well. So you invert to make sure you have parity with a numerical, don't have the numerical advantage, and you gain that extra man. So I'm saying, look, I felt sorry for the likes of Gravenberch, and there was a reason why we drastically improved, because we changed structure. I understand what you're saying. Zubamendi and a better left back and a better right back at times is going to improve the team. I've said that a volume passer and a metronome, to Nick Avi's word, is needed in this Liverpool team. But all of a sudden, we didn't change from a shit side to a decent side in the space of 15 minutes a halftime talk, is because we didn't have Zubamendi, or we had Zubamendi. I felt if Zubamendi was in that team in the first half, he'd have really massive problems as well, because it doesn't matter if you're Zubamendi or Maradona or Messi. If you get overloaded in the midfield, it doesn't matter who you are, you're getting cooked, aren't you? So Liverpool had to address that, and I think they did. And Liverpool were a lot more aggressive. Granted, Liverpool were put their foot, and this is the reason why I mentioned at the start of the show, even against Brighton or even against United or even against lowly sides, a few are going to come and be brave. But you have to make sure in this league, you have to put the tackles in. And we started putting the tackles in. If you can't earn the right to play in this league, nobody is just going to roll the carpet for you and say, play the footballers, even at Anfield. But so you have to win the battles and then let your football do the talking.
And I think that's where players like Endo and players that can, win the ball back, especially in high intense areas, are very, very valuable to the squad. So I feel like although we're moving to this control style of play, you need a player in there who can just put a tackle in, get the crowd up a bit, just fire up and break up play. And I think Endo is probably the only player at the club in our midfield area that can do that at a very, very decent level. Mac obviously had a high tackle success rate last season, but he's not a number 6 naturally, is he? Endo knows that role pretty much. He's playing this whole career. And he's played as a centre back as well. So dual winner.
I think we've missed a bit of variation as well. And Harvey Elliott brings that as well. I think we have to, I'm not sure if he would have started yesterday, but we have missed a player of that ilk as well, he keeps it nice and tight as well, with with the front three. Like he can interchange. He's got that close control. He likes playing short passes. We've missed that kind of. I don't want to call him a little player. We've kind of missed his sort of the role that he played last season for us. Off the bench. Majority of the time where he was affecting games. We've kind of missed that this season as well. And you just think another year being at Liverpool, he would have had a fair few starts maybe this season. It seems as if Slot's a fan as well. The injury didn't come at the right time for him, but hopefully with him back, it offers and gives Slot a little bit more of a headache.
I want to ask you about Trent, Avi. At halftime, my phone was popping off. And all I could read on WhatsApp is sell him. We don't need him. Let him go. Don't give him 350 or don't give him 400. His head's all over the place. His head's at Real Madrid. And then I thought he was absolutely brilliant defensively in the second half, but he did have a shocker in the first. But what did you make of Trent's performance, and where are you at where this sort of statement comes out? Obviously, it comes out a lot more when he starts playing shit. But is his head at Real Madrid?
No, look, he's a Liverpool born and bred, Asim. Obviously we know his love for the club. Look, I've told you for a while, and yesterday second half he was brilliant. I don't know what was said to him in the changing room at halftime, but second half he kept Matoma at bay. And I like that little feistiness he had with Estupinian. It seems as if that really sort of got the crowd going again. He didn't walk away from Estupinian. He was just very clever and gave him a little smirk, and that turned the crowd a fair few notches. I could hear even sounds from your. What's that? Terminator. Can you hear me now? I think that was some AI stuff, robot stuff. Where I am with Trent in terms of what's going on is, look, I'm very relaxed. If he stays, he stays. If he goes, he goes. I said that last week now. I'm at a point where I've stopped caring. And it'll get to that point with most fans. Look, we're into November now. There's got to be a decision made before January transfer window. What do you do? I saw some rumor, not some rumor, but someone said, would you take Tuchemani and 15 million if they got Trent? Yeah, I probably would. I probably would do that deal in January if it was made available to us, but it's not going to. But I'm just saying, I'm at that point where if he signs, he signs. And I think Slot's pretty relaxed as well about it, but it's not a good look. We've heard so much rubbish from the so-called ITKs out there, and even journalists saying there's been some talks, positive this, positive that. You can fuck all that positive and stick up your ass, because unless he doesn't sign, and as the weeks go by,
it's a family show.
It's very worrying. It's very worrying that he hasn't signed yet.
But that's a contradiction, though, Avi. You said I'm relaxed.
I'm relaxed, but no. But on the broader horizon, the majority of the fans are shit scared. They're shit scared about Salah. They're shit scared about Van Dijk. Me, I'm at that point now because I've stopped investing in whether he's going to sign or not. I'm at that point where if he leaves, he leaves. We'll figure something out. We've got Conor Bradley. I do rate him highly. I do think he's more of a slot right back than Trent is. I also like there's a young kid coming through, but that's for another show. Who I think has a special career at Liverpool. So, like I said, I'm relaxed. If he signs, great. Listen, there's no one else that loves Trent more than I do. I think he's a brilliant player, world class. But if he goes, what can we do?
Sarib, the chip is saying it's not life and death, and no one is suggesting that. He did try to have a little go at me on Twitter about an hour ago. But where are you at with Trent, and what do you make of his performance? More importantly, yesterday.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Quanza. I think we'll go into that a bit later.
It's him as well. It's you.
Sarib, you're the Terminator. Can't you hear that?
What? Hear what?
Yeah, I think it might be a YouTube thing. It might be a YouTube thing.
Jump out of the stream and come back, Sarib.
No, it might not just be him. Sarib, go on mute and speak. No, go on mute and speak again.
No, but it's actually
Sleepy Forest was one of them. I'm not an ITK anymore.
Is that better?
Much better.
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
Sounded like ET there, Sarib.
Sorry?
Sounded like ET. But carry on.
Sarib, carry on.
ET was.
Just on Trent's performance, I think first off, I think it was a bit of an opposite performance of what you basically associate with Trent, where he was
defensively really, really good. Now he has been this season. Let's not take the piss. He's been really, really good this season defensively, especially because he's playing more conventional. On the ball, I thought he was atrocious, especially in the first half. I thought his passing wasn't great. He was trying different types of passes that we associate with him.
Why are you putting that comment on? Sorry, Sarib.
Last week as well against Arsenal, I don't think he was particularly great on the ball. Defensively, he was a lot better. But again, maybe that's an improvement in his game. Maybe that's an adaptation to his game that Slot has put into him, that I want you to be more defensively stronger. I want you to get into tackles a bit more. I want you to not try the Hollywood pass as much as you were doing, even though you have the ability to do so. But obviously, when you're chasing a game, when you're behind 1-0 and you have a player like Trent that can pick a pass from anywhere, the more you try it, it's going to eventually come off. And that happened last week at the Emirates. And ultimately, we gained more control when Trent was in the midfield areas. So I'm impressed with Trent. First half wasn't particularly great. I think he locked up Mitoma pretty well. I had a stat here that I want to talk about of Trent's defense.
Sarib, can I ask you a question while you find the stat?
Yeah, of course you can.
Do you think Trent always wants to be a moments player as well? He always wants one moment that will define him in that particular game, whether it's an assist, goal so much, but where he will be remembered, for that pass that he played or that assist that he got. And I think sometimes that navigates him from his true game. And I think that's where Slot might have done work with him. And he's already alluded to him this season. Trent, there was an interview that I saw last week. Van Dijk did a great one with the Rio as well. And we'll come back to Van Dijk because it's quite fascinating what he was saying with the Rio. With Trent he said, look, I always look for that one moment. And again, with Klopp, it was very frequent that I always wanted to look for that one moment, and Jurgen never curbed that from me. Whereas Slot, he will tell me that I need to curb it because it's causing the opposition to get the ball in dangerous areas. So he's controlled that side of my sort of creativity, and I've had to be more disciplined. And he was alluding to the fact that last season under Jurgen, it was kind of a free reign for him. Whereas this season, Slot has drummed it into him. Look, you can't lose the ball in particular areas of the pitch zone because that's where the opposition will expose us.
No, I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say that he wants to be in the headlines and wants to make the Hollywood pass and wants to be this and that, because I watched his interview that he did for Sky, I think it was, and I think it was that interview. He said, I read quotations of it. He said, I want to be regarded as the best right back of all time. Now, you might look at that in black and white, but that's what I did. I look at it like he wants to be a right back rather than he wants to, invert and play the Hollywood pass, because the general consensus of a right back is to get up and down, put crosses into the box, but also do the job the other way. So I'm obviously going to only have to take his word for it. He may be thinking differently, but that's all going to be based off opinion. He said it in black and white that he wants to be regarded as the best right backs ever play the game, and I think that's the only thing we can say about that, to be honest. But I do understand he's very used to playing the killer pass, the Hollywood pass, it being a basketball game where he picks up the ball and can shift the ball 60 yards like that. But this season is a lot more different. It's a lot more, let's pass the ball around a bit before we get in behind. Before under Jurgen Klopp, it was more like that you see the pass and you put it in behind. And I think that was what happened against Arsenal. I thought the goal we scored against Arsenal was a very Jurgen Klopp type of goal. Where he put the ball over the top and Nunes ran onto it. And then Nunes to Salah was very, very nice goals, kind of like that. This season a bit more different. But talking on more so Trent's right back performance, what it says here is that Trent's defensive performance versus Mitoma, right? Says he won 8 out of 9 tackles in the match and 12 out of 16 duels, which was by far the most on the pitch of any player on both teams. Now, if that stat is true, because I'm looking at it here, that showcases to me that he has adapted his game to play more of a defensive kind of right back rather than being that inverted controller that we're so used to seeing over the last year and a bit, 2 years almost now. And I like it because we're not conceding many goals. We've conceded 6 goals in 10 Premier League games, which is by far the best in the Premier League. And I think he's been a big part of that. And he's definitely, in the last, I'd say, 7 or 8 months, his defensive work has improved massively, and more so this season. And maybe that's down to structure. Maybe that's down to personnel. Maybe that's down to the way we like to play. But I like it. And Asim alluded to it a few shows ago that he's playing this way because he's not in the opposition half for 90 minutes where he was doing under Jurgen Klopp. And so when you're in a position where you're in your own half, you're coming up against wide attackers, you're obviously going to do a lot better because you're not going to be exposed all the time. And I think that's one thing I like about Arne Slot, that he's identified that as a problem, and it might take away from Trent's overall attacking game, but his defensive game has definitely improved by a country mile. And long may it continue, because every week I watch this guy, he's impressed me more and more and more. And I think that's the biggest compliment I can give Trent, because a lot of people had question marks about his defensive ability, including me, maybe you, and maybe not so much for you, Asim, but Avi, other people. But I definitely thought that was going to be a problem. And maybe there's a lot more reasons why Trent's playing more traditional. And me and Asim touched on it on the last show about maybe Trent's on his way out. But I guess we'll see.
Well, Atik asked a question here. Sarib, I'll stick with you. He asks, why can't Trent be a traditional right back and be very creative at the same time?
Because of the system that we play now. Because Trent, like I said, Trent likes to do the diags, likes to play that killer pass from that area, that right half space. It's not going to happen now, because we're much more a conventional type of side, rather than, you know, Trent's inverting into midfield. Trent has all the license to roam around where he wants to. He can pick up the ball from in attacking areas. Yeah, like look at that comment at the bottom. Trent has to be a defender before he's an attacker in this slot system, in my opinion. And Trent's on the ball work allows us to play more in a more controlled way, because I think he's the best at the ball, best on the ball, with the ball to his feet at the football club. I think he can do that, especially from deeper areas. So,
do you think he signed a contract? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to be optimistic and positive and say yes, but like I said before, when days go on, you start to be a bit more negative, because next month is December, then it's January. So the January window is not a million miles away, and then you can start talking to other clubs in Europe and abroad. So I think that's the only concern. But I don't really want to talk about his contract right now. I want to look at his performance generally. Can he be creative in this team? Yes. Is it his first priority in this team? No, because you have to be a defender before you're an attacker in slots team, because we have too much quality going forward. Does that hinder Trent's performances in attacking sense? Yes. But is it better for Liverpool? Yes, because we're top of the league and we're conceding less goals. It's not as basketball. So it depends how you look at it. It might take away from Trent's game, but on the overall team, I think is doing a lot better. We're doing a lot better. Is that fair to say?
There's definitely a decrease in terms of his influence on the team.
Of course.
In the first phase. And that tells you because of the amount of passes he's gained in the first phase of build-up. And that's why we've probably seen an increase in Van Dijk's progressive passing passes into midfield. If Trent's not doing it from the first line, Robertson can't do it. Ibou's not his greatest strength, and Van Dijk has got every pass in the book. So I think we're relying on Van Dijk to Gravenberch pass into midfield. The principles of Arne Slot's double pivot are strong. Yeah. I don't like Trent at the top of the box. I don't like him. At times, he's back to goal. He's that high. He's that high. And then Liverpool need to work the ball for Trent to work out the right half, right-sided spaces for that whip that he has. But long term, I feel like he has got so much to offer in deeper areas that you have to take advantage of it. Whether that slots right back or whether he accepts that and he wants that, I don't know. But in the second half yesterday, when he needed to control a game, he got Trent to play in midfield, and Szoboszlai and Gravenberch on the other side. Who was it? Curtis Jones or even McAllister before he got substituted were higher. So I don't know. I think it needs to be a mixture. But you're right. If Liverpool are playing better and we're better for it, and if it decreases his influence, then so be it. But we have to caveat everything is that there's only been 10 to 12 games. Maybe let's let Liverpool and Arne Slot develop a lot more and see where we are in another 10, 15 games. But I think he's got so much to offer in that area that we have to take advantage of it, Sarib.
Yeah, but then you're never going to have complete control of the game, because when Trent, I get it, Trent is a controller, but when Trent's inverting into midfield, I think we're exposed, and at times it can be very, very frantic, especially if you lose the ball. Because I think Trent this season has not been particularly great on the ball, and he loses.
In theory, Sarib, it's the complete opposite.
Why?
Teams invert their right back is because when you lose the ball, your rest defense is a lot more compact. You've got more people in the center, so you can't say it's brave, but it's also you have to do it the right way. So when you lose the ball, there has to be the rest defense has to be right. And Liverpool have the best channel defender in the world in Ibou Konate, who can mark anyone out there. Vinicius, Martinelli, Mitoma, bring anyone who you want. So I think Liverpool need to use that. And I think Arne Slot needs to be a bit more brave. The 4-2-4, in theory, like I said earlier, is a brave, on paper, is a brave press. But when we're passive, it stinks. And when Liverpool are really, really good, we've been a lot more aggressive. Where Trent goes off the ball, where our double pivot goes right up top, and Ibou shifts across as a right back off the ball as well. Liverpool look a lot better team. Yes, you're going to get caught out, but you have to make sure you zonal at times. And when the right triggers arise, you go man to man. And that's what I want. But I know we're going off a bit of a tangent now in terms of the off the ball structure and on the ball structure. But coming back to Trent, it's interesting to see. I don't mind him when he joins the midfield as part of a 3 and he's in that right-sided midfielder role, because Trent can go and he can drive. He can go with the overlap. He can go on the underlap as well and connect with Salah if he's wide. But I just don't like him. I think Gusto is doing something similar with Chelsea, where he's really, really high. When Liverpool played Chelsea, Gusto was making that decoy run from the number 10 positions beyond Ibou and Van Dijk. I don't want to see Trent doing that. Trent is supposed to make that ball, not make that run. But Arne Slot needs to strike a balance. But at the moment, you have to say he's doing the right job. Liverpool are top of the league, like you say, and we're playing well. But we can't rely on 45 minutes of football going forward, especially against footballing sides. And we need to make sure we're on it from minute 1. But I want to ask you about, let's do a few individual performances. I think it's only right to start with Joe Gomez, Avi. It wasn't an easy situation to come in, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant. I saw a tweet from I don't know who it was, and they said the Joe Gomez of 18-19 came on, and Liverpool won the game. But I thought in his intensity, how he won the balls, that sliding tackle where he made, and I think it was Welbeck. But his all-round performance, in terms of considering the situation, was nothing short of brilliant.
As in this lad, I say lad, he's 27 now, but look, he's been at the club for what, 9-10 years now. When he's been fit, he's been dependable. I know there was a season, the season before last, where I thought he was gone. That performance against Napoli at home, Real Madrid at home, he really got exposed. But I also feel that he was still easing himself in with the serious injuries that he's had. You know, he's had 3 of the worst kind of injuries. Right knee, his ankle break, the complete break of his patella tendons in his knee. He's had some very bad injuries, but Joe Gomez, I lose words describing him, Asim, because he's an absolute complete all-rounder. He can play right back, centre back, left back. He's actually even had a little, cameo in DM role last season at times. He's a great footballer. He actually is a great footballer. And you just think, if he was fit, if he didn't have the injuries that he did, we could be talking about one of England's mainstay at the centre-back positions, because, look, let's just face it, there's not much competition. But he was, at one point, even Rio Ferdinand said at one point, a few years back, when he was really in his form, especially that 2019-2020 season, he was the best he was the best English defender at the time. But obviously injuries have happened. But look, he's still at the club. There was, maybe flirtations during the summer, whether the club was offering him to Newcastle, whether he wanted, out and he wanted his first team football. But look, whenever he comes back, whenever you put him in, whether it's a League Cup game or yesterday after 45, 1-0 down, he comes into the team. He didn't let us down. And I thought last season he had a good season, played 51 games in a whole host of positions. And this season, it was reminiscent of the partnership that he built up with Van Dijk for that one season. And I will still go on to say that one season was the best of a centre-back pairing that I've seen. I know Matip took charge. I think Matip was ahead of him at the first sort of 5-6 games, but after that it was Gomez and Van Dijk. And that season, when they won the Club World Championship, the league, those two were just like imperious. And Joe Gomez at times was better than Van Dijk. So I'm happy that he's getting his plaudits. I would love him to stay beyond this season because he's vital. He's vital to this team, especially when he's fit. And look, Konate went off, he came in, and it was seamless. We didn't say, there's a big loss now. Gomez came in and ushered that defense.
Sarib, we didn't know of the Ibou news until today. After the game, a lot of fans said to me that we can rely on Joe Gomez at centre back. Would you agree?
I wouldn't say so, and I'm not a fan of it personally. But yesterday, I can't dispute the fact that he was impressive. That's not just because I believe that he can't play centre back anymore at a high level doesn't mean he can't play well there, because it's an opinion. It doesn't reflect what happens on the pitch. And I thought Joe Gomez was outstanding when he came on in the second half, and I think Arne Slot has utilised him at fullback, not so much, but he started more games centre back this season than generally what we've seen over the last 2-3 years, especially since he's kind of played since he's returned from injury. I think we've seen him play a lot at right back and left back. Last season in the number 6 role at times. We saw his performances in the 22-23 season at centre half, and I thought he was really, really poor. Against Manchester City, he had that really, really good performance alongside Van Dijk. Avi still goes on it like it's the best performance he's ever seen. Like
it was one of the best performances I've seen.
That
was the only.
What was Joe Gomez performance, Avi?
City was a couple of years ago.
The 1-0, yeah. It was the only good game that he had that season, because against Napoli he was exposed. Against Real Madrid, we saw that
Real Madrid, he was an absolute joke. He was a shambles against Real Madrid.
But I also feel that he was still sort of still struggling to get fully fit. I know Van Dijk came, and it seems as if Van Dijk never took, that injury never affected Van Dijk, but we know it did.
I mean, that was a year after. That was a year after, because he had
that was the season that he came back from that injury.
He came back.
That's season when he played against.
He got injured 2021 away at Manchester City. After that, he got injured. Then 21-22, he returned in 21-22 because he didn't play for the rest of 2021, and then he returned in pre-season when him and Van Dijk got subbed on together.
No, I know, but in that 21-22, he didn't play that much.
He did play centre back. He came in at right back. Don't you remember his cross for Jota against Watford? He used to rotate at right back a lot more than centre half.
But he didn't play that many times in that season alone. It was the season after the 22-23 season where I still felt he was feeling effects. That's where he had his best season. That game against City. That one in was after. That one in against City wasn't last season. It was the season.
Yeah, I know it was 22, but you can't say he was struggling with injury for the Real Madrid.
Oh no, 100% he was.
No, but you can't.
It took him the best part of 18 months to get back into some kind of form. And last season was the first time we saw him into that some kind of like decent form, left back, right back, uttered all over the place. The season before was his recovery, kind of still his full recovery season, which he wasn't well. But I know he came in that quadruple attempt season. That's when he came back and he was playing right back, but he was still off it. He was still off it for me.
But for me, I don't think you can say, oh, he was so impressive against Man City, which he was, and then
he got man of the match that day.
Let me finish. Let me finish. You can't say he was imperious against Manchester City and it's down to his quality, and then when he has a shit game against Real Madrid 4 months later and say it's down to injury. That's completely contradiction what you just basically said.
No, he was still easing himself in, Sarib. You can have a good performance against a top team and then still fall off. It happens. Look at Van Dijk in that season. Look at Van Dijk that season. He didn't have a great season. And that was the season after. That was still a season after where he had the full pre-season, where we tried to win the league, went in the Champions League final, got the domestic double. He still had a good season.
You got your answer then. He played too many games. He wasn't rotated enough. Gomez was rotated and still played bad.
But he wasn't rotated enough because I remember Jurgen saying that we are going to actually have to take careful time with Joe Gomez.
Yeah, of course.
They say the first injury or second injury. This is his third bad injury. And that City game, look, when you're selected and you're starting, you get yourself G'd up for big games. And we saw him, he had a drop-off off that with Napoli and with the Real Madrid. But last season, I felt was the true Joe Gomez, like somewhat back to his best. Yesterday, playing centre-back where I ideally want to see him, but obviously he can't displace Konate. You can't displace Van Dijk, especially in this form. He relished yesterday. He was brilliant yesterday. He was back to that, title-winning defence where he didn't put a foot wrong. He was absolutely brilliant yesterday. And will he get more chances in centre-back? Probably not. He will probably still have to be this makeshift right-back, left-back when Slot needs him. But he was dependable yesterday. And Asim, there's nothing greater than that.
He got a lot of love, and you have to understand his situation as well. Whether we know that the club told him that, if we do get a replacement, then we don't need you, but we'll only allow you to leave, if we do get a replacement. And in terms of the mentality of the player, surely the player is going to get affected. But Avi, I was just about to come on to Mr. Kibriya Saab as you put that comment up. It is Kibriya. Football gives you a lot of pleasure, and none more so than this weekend when City and Arsenal lose and Liverpool come back after being 1-0 down at Anfield. But Mohammed, the BNR show is not a BNR show without Kibriya, and he's back in the building. Nothing gives me more pleasure than welcoming our brother back to the show. And he's had a few personal issues, but honestly, this has made my weekend. Never mind the Liverpool result, but this has made our weekend. So welcome back, and hope to see you soon. Sarib, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, just on Joey G, to be fair to him, like I get that the last, especially the season before last, I don't think he was impressive at centre half. We saw quite a few performances. Asim, I don't know if you were down there with that Brighton game where he was getting absolutely stripped around by Matoma. We lost 3-0. I think it was January 2023. He was getting.
Was that when Thiago played number 10?
Yeah, something like that. When we didn't have a lot of our players out injured, yeah, and he wasn't great in that game. And after that day, I said I don't ever want to see Joe Gomez play centre back again because I thought he was done. Because every time I seen him play fullback, I thought he was really, really impressive because he doesn't have that much defensive. He doesn't have to be that defensively good, especially in that Klopp system. He can invert into midfield. We saw it at times last season from left back. He has a very good cross on him. We saw it. I remember specifically that cross for Jota against Watford in that 2-0 win. So I always said I prefer Joe Gomez as a right back, even though his preference might be to play centre half because that's where he's played in his youth days. That's where he's played for Charlton, etc., etc., etc. But this is great news about Kibriya, by the way. I hope all you well. I hope your family's well, and inshallah we'll see you very, very soon. But on Joey G, I think he's proven his doubters wrong. I thought he would be done last season. He got offered a new contract, and last season he was really, really impressive with left back, right back, centre defensive midfield. Very rarely we saw him play centre back last season. And that Real Madrid game the year before, that was my end for him. I was like, I don't ever want to see him play there again. He's a really good right back, but I don't think he has the ability to play centre half anymore. Maybe it's down to injury, maybe it's down to lack of quality, maybe it's the game is evolving and he's being left behind. Maybe a lot of factors. I don't have the definite answer for you, but you can have your own opinion on that. But yesterday, Joey G was really, really impressive, and maybe that's down to us chasing the game. Maybe it's down to his ball playing abilities. Maybe it's down to he's comfortable in possession. Maybe it's down to Trent inverting and him. Joe Gomez has to be the channel defender because he knows the right hand side really, really, really well. Asim. He's played right back how many times in his career? He's played left back how many times in his career? But you can't deny Van Dijk and Gomez looked very, very good. Now, the main question I have now, Asim, it begs the question of what is happening with Jarrell Quanza. Now, you can put Gomez to a side because Gomez has been starting games at centre back. We saw it in the cup games. The question is now is what you do with Jarrell Quanza, because all of you know I have my own opinions on Jarrell Quanza. I have my own issues with Jarrell Quanza. Do you want to speak about Jarrell Quanza? Because if you want,
we can do because I think
Gomez is ahead of Quanza in the pecking order.
I agree.
Jarrell Quanza is also 20 years old, yeah. And you tell me where the likes of these great defenders, where was Van Dijk at 20? Where were all these? Quanza cannot go on just playing League Cup games or FA Cup games. Yeah, he won't get a look in the league because of where we are in the situation, top of the league. Kanate is in form. You're not going to drop your centre back pairing. It doesn't do anything for anyone unless someone gets injured.
He was first choice starting the season, Quanza, by the way.
He was, and Slot alluded to it straight away. That's why he hooked him. He was losing out on aerial duels, and he said, I needed to bring Kanate on. And after that, he's never looked back. Quanza is very young in his career, especially as a forward defender. If we purchase a defender in January, which I doubt that we will, I think we should let him play elsewhere on loan, where he needs week in, week out, where he needs games. I do believe, and I tweeted it on Wednesday after the Brighton game, he was fast-tracked, and we have to allow him to make mistakes, because every defender between the age of 20 to 23, 24, you can talk about the Salibas, you can talk about the Gabriels, the Van Dijks, the Kanates, they all make mistakes. No one is perfect at that age, certainly not at 20 or 21. But he needs to go to a place where he's allowed to make these mistakes, because at Liverpool, one mistake and everyone, you start drowning in it. You start drowning yourself in that kind of pressure. So there is a decision to make on him. I still believe he will have a great future at Liverpool Football Club. But when he's not playing and he's getting like cup games every 4 or 5 weeks, That's not doing his confidence any good, and he's not in any kind of rhythm. And a defender, especially a central defender, needs rhythm and games. So yeah, Gomez is ahead of him, but it depends in January what we do. Unless we get a stopgap in until the end of the season, I'm not sure. I'm sure Slot will try to retain him and then make a decision next season about whether what we should do, because he'll be 21, 22.
Asim, Kieran says, yeah, a great comment. I think he's alluding to me. A 27-year-old is ahead of a 21-year-old, but I think you need to understand the context as to why I said it. Jarrell Quanza was Liverpool's first choice, one of Liverpool's first choice centre backs coming off last season, and he started the season as well. My issue now is he's behind Joe Gomez, who I thought would never play centre back ever again.
We've also got a different manager, Sarib. So
Yeah,
I've seen something different too.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's what I mean. You can even look at it like with Slot. He was first choice coming to the season, and Slot's understood that he's not up to scratch, and within 2 months he's fourth choice. That's what I'm
was Sarib, just a part of the wider context, and I'll link Ash's super chat with this.
Yeah.
He says Tsimikas brilliant yesterday. Are you just not happy the fact that the manager is picking players on merit and not reputations? We've seen Tsimikas just get included into the team for the last couple of weeks ahead of Robbo, another massive player in Liverpool's team, and arguably Gakpo is ahead of Diaz at the moment.
Yeah,
so it's not just about Quanza, then, is it?
No, of course.
So are you not happy with that? And in a month's time, you never know. Quanza might have a brilliant performance and find him ahead of Joe Gomez, and not obviously Ibou, because he was. He'll have to take some sort of performance to be ahead of Ibou, but at least get that second or third choice back ahead of Gomez. If you're not playing well with this manager, you won't be playing. Simple.
Of course, but obviously I'm looking at it as of right now, Asim. I don't know what's going to happen in 2-3 months. I don't think anyone knows that, because I generally thought that the first choice pairing for the season would have been Virgil van Dijk and Jarrell Quanza, and Jarrell Quanza would have built on what he had last season. Obviously, he's still young, and I understand that. I understand he will improve and make errors, etc., etc., etc. But I'm speaking of as of now, and if you told me 4 months ago, Asim, that Joe Gomez will be a centre back for Liverpool come the summer, and he's going to be behind Jarrell Quanza, who was first choice, regardless of the manager change, you would have called me stupid. Honestly, I would have not believed that myself. And I think we're all in agreement, Asim. If I told you that Jarrell Quanza will be Liverpool's fourth choice centre back going into the season, and we've not signed a centre back, you would have called me stupid. And I think a lot of people would have called me stupid. But now he's in that position, and he has to take that on the chin, and he will improve. I understand that. And I also alluded to the point, Asim. You make a very, very good point about Kostas Tsimikas. A very, very good point. This manager is picking players for the now, not on reputation. And I said this, none of these players are Arne Slot's players. They're not players he signed. They're not players he has loyalty to. And I thought the best example for this was with Darwin Nunes, whereas Klopp would play him week in, week out, because that was the big money signing, £85 million. Klopp fancied him. Pep Linders fancied him. We all knew Jota was the better striker. No, we all know it's not a lie. But Arne Slot quickly identified that we've got a goal scorer in Diogo Jota at this football club. I'm not the man who signed Darwin Nunes. I believe Jota is a better central striker than Nunes. I'm going to take Nunes out of the team regardless of his price tag. Put Jota in, because Diaz, Jota, and Salah is the trio that I like the most, and it's the most consistent, and it will deliver you the best results. And I like that ruthlessness, because he's trying to put his imprint on his team. So it doesn't matter if you've been at the club for 7-8 years. It doesn't matter if you're Virgil van Dijk or Tsimikas or Quanza or Gomez or Konate. If you're not playing for Slot, he's going to take you out of the team, and I really like that. And you have to say, Asim, he's got balls. He's got balls. Very rarely see Jurgen Klopp do this. He'd maybe give a player 2 or 3 games to get back into form. He would very rarely drop players. He'd play the same 11 week in, week out to build that. Whereas Slot, if you're playing shit, he's going to get rid of you. And we saw it with Quanza. We've seen it time and time again with the substitution he's made. He is not afraid to make bold decisions in matches that can, help Liverpool win. And yeah, if it all goes well, we're clapping our hands. If it goes the other way, we're all pointing fingers. But we have to say, over the last 14 games or so, 15 games of the season, it's gone to we're clapping our hands, and this is why Arne Slot is getting the credit that he deserves.
If you go from previous, Asim, Quanza will know he'll get his chances this season, because Konate will have that injury. Gomez does pick up injuries. Gomez will sometimes have to be picking up the pieces at right back or left back maybe this season. There are an awful lot of games that are coming this season. So I think Quanza will get his chances. But I also think next summer, if we do go for a left centre back, left back, the hybrid that we kind of are looking for in this system, there will have to be a decision on Quanza, because he's going to be 22. He needs games. He needs to be playing 30, 40 games, full games, starting off from minute one. That's the kind of season that he needs to have, Quanza. We did get overly excited last season, and rightly so. He did prove himself. But look, he's gonna make mistakes. Positionally, he will get caught out, but he has to. We have to allow him to have that at the age of 2021. He's not going to be the polished article, you know. No great defender was the finished article at 2021.
But Avi, the issue is, Asim, I'll let you go in a second. The issue is you can't be making these mistakes for Liverpool because the fingers are going to be pointed straight at you. If you're starting for Liverpool, there's hardly any room for error. We're not challenging for fuck all. We're sorry for
well, the mistakes that he made. The mistakes that he made, well, there was that one mistake against Brighton where they get caught because he tried to be clever with the pass, right? Plays it through the middle and he gets caught with that. He got caught with that last season at United. Okay, and then the deflection, that's normal. But Slot said I brought him off because he was tired. Maybe it was a confidence thing that he brought him off. We don't know. But look, you're saying that he can't make mistakes. Sarib, he will know that, but he's also 21.
Look, I'm not saying he can't make mistakes. I'm saying he can't make mistakes when he's starting week in week out for Liverpool.
But he's not starting week in week out.
Yeah, but that's what he was doing. That's what I'm trying to tell you, that he has this.
Yeah, last season, and he was playing very well.
I understand that, but you're not listening.
Was he making mistakes week in week out last year?
No, but the issue is Slot's clearly identified that this guy's got a mistake in him that is going to happen on a frequent basis.
No, I think Slot is trying to nurture him. I think Slot's trying to nurture him.
I don't even think, guys, it's about mistakes. I think the reason why he got substituted and the main concern for Slot is a lack of dual
that's true as well.
ability, because you can't move Trent. We've been talking about Trent into midfield. You can't move Trent into a more out of conventional place on the field if Quanza is on the pitch. He doesn't give you the luxury like Kanate. And to be fair, that's an unfair take on him as well. Why? Because Ibou is the best in the world at covering space at the wide channels. So you have to give Quanza a bit of leeway where he's got a lot of distance to catch up on when it comes to being.
But there's things that he doesn't bring that Kanate doesn't bring, like the ball playing ability.
Of course,
that he has
I think that the reason why I mention it, I think that's Slot's main concern. I don't think his concern is on the footballing thing. He will make mistakes because he's young, but I think he's got the footballing ability and ball manipulation to take them out of his game. And that will only come with game time. Can Liverpool give him that game time? Do I want to Liverpool and Slot to give him that game time? I don't want that because Ibou is playing unbelievably well. So, look, I don't get this take where Liverpool fans, even yesterday or the week before, I think he took him off and he put Ibou on against Brighton, saying, why did you take him off? It was unfair. There's a massive knock on his youngsters' confidence. I don't give a crap. I want to win the game. I want to win the game. We'll sort that out. We'll see if it's a confidence issue later on. We will sort it out. He will get plenty of time in the cups to iron that out. And if he improves, then he can start knocking on the manager's door and saying, look, I've improved. I've bulked up a bit. Maybe, look, his body might develop as well, Avi, where you might need to do a bit of extra gym work and just get stronger in wider areas. But I think that is the main concern. His ball ability will be fine if he can get involved in those duels out wide, because teams like Liverpool need variation there in their attack, especially when they're being aggressive. And when you go man to man, then you have to make sure you trust each other. And that is the problem. He doesn't trust Quanza in those 1v1 duels. And that's understandable. But there was a brilliant segue into the next subject, and that came from our very own Chin. And he says it's 3:15. It's probably gone past that right now. And he says, I'm still waiting for you lot to talk about the king. I will start with Sarib. Muhammad is the king. Muhammad is the icon. Muhammad is him. Muhammad is the savior. Tell me about him.
You just run out of superlatives for this man, don't you? You just week in, week out, he's defined the odds. He is probably the best player in terms of consistency, in terms of years he's given us, in terms of goal scoring, assist that I've ever seen play for Liverpool. Now you might point at maybe Gerrard or Suarez, saying, "Oh, there were elements of the game which were a lot better." Suarez is the best player I've ever seen play for Liverpool as a player. But you apply consistency, you apply the years he's given us. It's Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah has to be number one, and he is just ridiculous player. Shouts of him being sold last in the summer, ridiculous. Not once did I call for Mohamed Salah to be sold Not once did I say you should be. He's done at the top level. He's not. He proves me wrong week in, week out. The goal yesterday is just the epitome of a Mohamed Salah goal that we've seen year in, year out. Gets the ball on the right-hand side on a counter-attack. Brilliant pass into him by Curtis Jones. Salah cuts inside and he pelts the ball into the back of the net. It's just the epitome of a Mohamed Salah finish. He's pretty much doing this. He's been doing this for 8-9 years now. Mohamed Salah, even before he was at Liverpool, obviously more consistently because he's playing for us. So he's 32 years old. He'll be 33 at the end of the season. The issue is his contract situation, which I don't even want to get into because I'm just trying to enjoy whatever time we have left with the Egyptian king. He is ridiculous. He is the best player in the Premier League. Nobody comes close to him. You just run out of words for this man.
You're definitely paid to watch him. You're definitely paid to watch him.
That's also been taken out of context as well. But
Sarib, Avi, since Bobby Amane, his best mates, left, you can see that he takes his responsibility upon himself just to really carry the team, and he always generally produces. But yesterday, when he missed that chance, when he was in one-on-one with the keeper, and I think he tried to chip him. Not seen.
He loves those finishes though. He usually gets that right.
He does. I've not seen a replay of it, but if it seemed like from my angle where I was sat, is he tried to chip the keeper, but after a couple of minutes, he was still pissed off at himself, Avi. You could see it because of the nature of the game. And I think a couple of minutes before the Van Dijk chance from that long cross from Trent from the far side, well, you can tell from his body language, he wasn't happy because he knew Liverpool needed that goal. But when we got the equalizer, that goal, talk to me about that goal, Avi. It was, again, Liverpool in transition. But when Curtis Jones gave that ball, and you talked about the weight of pass earlier on, but the way Salah shifted to the right and to the left and created a yard, and what a strike. What a strike. We've been talking about he hasn't laced it. It wasn't a lace. It wasn't a lace, but what a goal.
It was, look, I feel Salah's doing what Salah does every season, Asim. He's always got frustrated if he misses a chance. He's a goal scorer. He's a poacher. He's everything that we never thought that he would be at this football club. We never thought he would turn these numbers in. Yes, we thought, he could do like maybe a 20-goal season here and there from his Roma numbers, from his Fiorentina little stint, but we never thought that he could do the numbers that he's done. Absolutely brilliant. I think he's gone past Robbie Fowler. He's in 8th place now. He's catching that list. He's catching the likes of Sergio Aguero, Thierry Henry, Alan Shearer. Alan Shearer's quite far off.
The next one's Henry, isn't it?
Henry, Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard's there. I think he'll pass Lampard and Henry this season, and then see what happens with his contract. But yeah, look, he's looking better than ever at 32. There are no signs of him slowing down. He's in that he's on that pedal stool of Messi and Ronaldo, where at 34, 35, 36, it looks as if, as long as he looks after his body, as long as those hamstrings and that calf stay where they are, like fit, and he looks after his body, which you imagine is 34, he'll be hitting high numbers well into his mid-30s, late.
Would you sell him now? Would you sell him to Saudi now if you got 150 million? Would you say yes?
No, I've always said I'm comfortable whether Salah stays or leaves. I'm not attached to one player. I used to be attached to players that played for this club, Luis Suarez and Torres, but I'm not attached to players like some are, like you maybe, or Asim or Sajin, or most majority of fans.
Don't you think, Avi, it's not about being attached? Obviously, we all attached to some extent, some more than others.
This club moves on, whether it's Mohamed Salah, whether it's Fernando Torres, whether it's Luis Suarez. This club goes on.
I get that.
It has proven when we've lost big players, it has proven when we've missed big players that we've gone on for further success too.
But don't you think it sends out a bad message?
Of course it does, Asim, but
that's the problem.
You've also been supporting this club for over 20 years. It sent a bad message when we sold Michael Owen to Real Madrid for 8 million and we got Antonio Nunes in. It also was a bad message when we let Steve McManaman, who was arguably a 15 to 20 million pound player, in 1998-99, go to Real Madrid. The bad message was when we sold Fernando Torres to Chelsea, who were dubbed our nearest rivals. Even though we had Kenny in charge, we sold them for 50 million. These bad messages throughout every decade in this football club, Asim. Mohamed Salah, I hope he stays. I really do want him to stay. But if he goes, I'm comfortable with that situation as well. Yes, the owners, whoever are doing the contractual works, the Hugheses and whoever else is muddling their way in, Mike Gordon's, they will be culpable. They will get the blame for this. But these football as well, Asim. I know football, it goes round in circles. We don't want to lose Mo Salah. I still feel that he's got 2-3 years in the Premier League. He's still got 2-3 years where he can hit 20 plus numbers. He's got another 60 goals in him in the league over the next 3 years if he stays. The rest is in the club's hands. They should pay him what he deserves. They should pay him what he deserves.
Is he the best ever for you?
He's my top 2. I've always said he's my top 2. I've said that for many a year.
Sorry?
Is he my top? Well, he's definitely the best foreign player alongside Aguero that I've seen play in the Premier League.
He's the best. He's the best foreign player that's ever graced the Premier League, 100%.
In terms of consistency in goal scoring, I'd put him and Aguero. It's a toss up for me between those two. I think Aguero was sensational, but obviously I have more bias towards Mo Salah because ultimately he plays for my football club. Sorry, Asim, what was your question? Sorry.
Is he the best Liverpool player ever?
In terms of consistency, in terms of what he's given us, the moments, the goals, yes. Do I think he's the best player, just as a player, to play for Liverpool? No, because I think Luis Suarez for me tops that. But in terms of consistency, in terms of how many years he's given us, he could have left on many occasions to go to Real Madrid, or he could play anywhere he wants, Mohamed Salah. But he stuck with us, and maybe because we were in a better time as a football club. But he was a big reason, and is a big reason as to why Liverpool are in the position that we're in today. When he signed for us, Asim, we were 4th in the Premier League. We were not even in we just qualified for the Champions League for the first time in 5 years. He's come in and we've made Champions League final after Champions League final. We've been in title race after title race. Sorry?
I always say Van Dijk was the most crucial signing for this football club.
I agree with you. I think Virgil van Dijk, I'll still say it to this day, I think Virgil van Dijk is the most important player for Liverpool. You can take Mohamed Salah out of this team, you'll lose goals. But in terms of, you take Virgil van Dijk out of this team, we will ship goals left, right, and centre. I know the hardest thing in football is to score goals, but I saw it in the 22-23 season that when Virgil van Dijk was off it, Liverpool were off it. When Virgil van Dijk's back on it again, Liverpool back on it. Because Salah will score you goals regardless of whatever team you put him in. But when Virgil van Dijk's off it, Liverpool most likely are off it as well. And but we're moving off topic here. Mohamed Salah, I hope he stays forever. But I feel like you deserve a segment on Mo Salah. I think he's one of your favorite players.
Look, I've said what I needed to say about Salah. I think it would be criminal on Liverpool's behalf, negligence as well, if they don't offer him. Whether he's been offered, whether he's not been accepted, let's be honest, nobody really knows.
Yeah.
But I think Liverpool have to thrash it out. I've consistently said it, that even with Trent, even with Van Dijk, because you're in, and Liverpool have as a club have to take the responsibility. If you put yourself in this position now, that these 3 players are holding the bargaining tools in terms of around the negotiation table, you have to make sure you have to pay a premium. I don't want this excuse that it doesn't really fit in our structure. Liverpool have got money. Liverpool can make a few deals or move a few pieces to make sure these 3 players get what they deserve. They're that good that they'll improve any side in the world. And when it comes to Salah, you check his Instagram, at 11 o'clock or 2:30 in the morning, whether he's in the sauna or the gym doing extra sessions, he's the first in and last out when it comes to training. He is the epitome of professionalism. He is the leading example of that squad, whether it's giving advice off the field, whether it's leading by example on the field. Salah is Salah, and the amount of respect that he has in the squad is, unparalleled. But honestly,
I tell you what he's good at. He's great at PR. He's got a great PR team behind him.
But I was just about to come to that.
That interview against United, I thought it was. And listen, I don't blame him. This ain't anything negative towards Salah. I think he hits the right notes at the right time. I think that Man United interview was gold
100%.
because the onus was back on the owners and whoever are in charge of the contractual stuff. I think today's Twitter, Instagram post. People.
I'm going to read that out. Shall I read it out to you? He says, top of the table is where the club belongs. Nothing less. All teams win matches, but there's only one champion in the end. That's what we want. Thank you for your support last night. No matter what happens, I will never forget what scoring at Anfield feels like.
Asim, I'll be honest.
Are we going to read between the lines? Are we going to take that?
That's the work of Rami Abbas. We know who's tried that out for him. That's not no chat GPT. That's a smart move. And look, listen, again, the onus is on the club to make this happen. I've said, look, he needs to stay. All jokes aside, he needs to stay because he's not letting up. You know, there's certain players. I remember Aubameyang, who signed a new contract. Ozil at Arsenal. They're on their way down. You know, the whole aura changed about them. The attitude changed. The application changed.
I think
Because they saw the big money. 350.
Ozil was a different situation, I think, but I don't want to get
No, they're the same. They're the same. Ozil's a different case.
I don't want to get into the situation, but I think we know what the situation was.
I think Aubameyang and Ozil, they signed new contracts. They were on 300k a week at that time. That was we're talking about a few years ago. They just didn't. They weren't those same players. With Mo Salah, he won't let up. He won't let up. He wants to break these records. He is chasing numerous records that he wants to break, and Liverpool is the club where he wants to break them. He does not want to leave for another Premier League club. It's Liverpool for him, or Saudi or whoever comes in. He will definitely not be playing for another Premier League club. We need to do right, and we need him to extend for another 2-3 years.
So I'll be honest. I think if Liverpool win the title this season, I think he goes. If Liverpool win the league this season, I think he goes at the end of the season. I'll be honest. If Liverpool don't win the league,
if he gives me the league and he wants to go, I'll say, you know what?
A nice party gift.
If Liverpool win the league this season,
it's a brilliant end. It'll be an emotional end whenever he leaves.
Gina's got his replacement ready anyway in Chiesa. What's Gina crying about? Why does Gina's all guns in, all balls in with the Chiesa? What's he worried about?
Gina will never accept Mo Salah leaving. I'm telling you, we get a new right winger in, he would still see Mo Salah. He can't. He will never be.
I'm telling you, Federico is the one. Federico's coming in from game one.
Oh, Sarib, I think he's better than Luis Diaz. I think Federico Chiesa, when he plays for Liverpool, he's the star.
The man of puns, he's done. Honestly, the Ballon d'Or, he'll never walk away. He's shameless. That guy is He's shameless. He's shameless.
You're going to make him get out of bed, find 3G in Mirpur in the sticks, and he's going to come and join you.
Yeah, he's back on Friday. He's going to give me loads of shit on Friday. Don't worry. We love you, really.
Man of the match yesterday? Before.
Aston, do you think he stays?
And
don't do this. Oh, let me get methodical. Let me put up a fucking. Let me put a 5-minute monologue. Let me do a 5-minute monologue. Yes or no? I just
Wallahi, I actually have given this answer so many times. I've been asked so many times as well, even on the shows, that I can't remember what my opinion is, whether Salah leaves or Trent leaves, because I've probably flip-flopped a million times.
I said 2 out of the 3.
I don't have a clue. I agree with everybody that Verge is the deal that is most likely to get done.
Yeah.
But with Trent and Salah, I think it's 50-50. I think it's 50-50. Honestly, nobody knows.
It'll be a nice Christmas gift if all 3 sign, Kieran. All 3 were to sign. Maybe they're gearing up for that. Maybe they're gearing up for that. We know that Salah likes to put a Christmas tree up and then he gets his flag. So maybe it might be that.
AK's reminded me. He said, "Asim, you said Trent leaves and the other sign."
I think 2 out of the 3 sign. I think Van Dijk definitely signs.
Avi, I think we should take it. Xavi says Chiesa is better than Gakpo and Luis Diaz is what I will agree with. He can actually beat his man on the outside. I don't want to really talk about Federico Chiesa, but me and you have been going at war for the last year and a bit about Gakpo versus Diaz. What do you make of that now?
What's this, Diaz and Gakpo?
Okay. I think, Sarib, for the first time, me and you this season, when it comes to Gakpo Diaz, we can be complimentary on both ways. I think you're fair to say that Diaz has performed. I've said it in the beginning of the show that Gakpo has performed. You seem to think that I've had an issue with Gakpo. It wasn't me. It was the boys from Keithley that had issues about where Gakpo should play with left, central, Mura. In this,
I was having a little debate with Gina earlier on WhatsApp, and he was telling me, "Oh, I don't care what you say, Sarib. Diaz is number 1. 5 goals in 7 starts."
No, I tell you, man of the match. I tell you what, Gakpo yesterday, he put a shift out yesterday. I said to Gina as well on the phone yesterday on the voice note. Gakpo put a hell of a shift, and yesterday I saw him work off the ball as well. I thought he was brilliant yesterday, Sarib. Just to FYI, I thought he was brilliant against Brighton as well. Clean finishes.
That aspect of his game.
I just want a good. I want a good numbers season from Gakpo. I don't want a 15 and 54. I want something like a 20 to 25 in all competitions from him because he's capable of doing it. He's too talented to not produce the numbers. And same with Diaz as well. They're too good of footballers to not produce the numbers. If Diaz is doing it, Gakpo is doing it. And look, as long as they do that, Sarib, we're all happy.
That's very
Who's your
fair.
man? Who's your man of match?
I was going to say Joe Gomez, but there was something about Cody Gakpo yesterday that I just loved. I just loved his application yesterday. And he's been like that since the start of the season.
I'm gonna go with Tsimikas. I think
Yeah,
Tsimikas
good
was I thought he was absolutely outstanding in the game. Off the corner as well, we should have had a couple goals. That free kick that he took from deeper and Gomez should have really scored. Tsimikas is such a threat, and people go at him week in, week out. Whenever he does something wrong, oh, he's shit, get rid of him. We paid 7 million for him from Olympiacos, and he's been a really good 7.
Another one that's just plugged away, Sarib. He's just plugged away. 3-4 years. He's been here for like nearly 4 or 5 years now.
It's 2020 he signed when that Thiago and Jota summer.
So 5 years, he just plugged away, never sort of kicked up a fuss, never showed any frustration. Maybe the odd here and there sort of daring look towards Jurgen or whatnot. But Tsimikas, again, very dependable. One mistake this season, that Milan, when he missed time that small pass, but he's been absolutely brilliant.
You can't deny that.
TK. No, that's a good shout. That's a good shout. I know he only played 45 minutes, but I think I'd go for Joe Gomez. I think that was a brilliant. It was more than a cameo, but I think
Kelleher makes a very important save at 1-0.
Do you think, talking of Kelleher, do you think he should have saved the first goal?
No, absolutely.
I think he was surprised by the hit. That was a superb finish. It was a good finish.
Do you think Alisson saves it?
No,
I'm not going to compare that. I don't know. Because
I think
there's some that I feel that Alisson has let go of or conceded, but I thought could have done better. So no.
We know what. Okay, I agree. I'm nitpicking here, but Avi, what I want Kelleher doing is catching on corners a lot more.
Corners, yeah. But very rarely do keepers do that now. They're all about punching it in the air. They're all about distance now, aren't they? They're all about getting the distance now.
Punch it then. He doesn't come out,
He might not be imposing enough. He's a small frame. Talking about small frames, it's amazing. I saw the interview with Rio and Van Dijk. It's on YouTube. It's great. And Rio alluded to it straight away. He said, "You look very different. You look very gaunt." Yeah. And he goes, "Yeah, we've been told to lose a few pounds here and there from Slot's regime." So Slot, he alluded to Cody Gakpo too. When you were saying that he looked leaner, I think 2 weeks ago. So
Ibou looks leaner as well.
They've lost a kilo or two, and Rio was like, "Actually, you look very gauntly though." And he goes, "No, look, he said something about like how his reactions are quicker, and over a period, over a lengthy of yards, he's gotten quicker as well." So he said, "Look, you've got to believe what the fitness team are telling us." And so Slot's very big on conditioning and fitness and all that stuff. So it's good. Science, eh?
Okay. Quickly about the Leverkusen game. How do you see that going, Avi? We're facing the title favorites, aren't we?
Yeah, one of the favorites.
They haven't one of the favorites. The favorites for you.
Well, I said Liverpool and Leverkusen, isn't it?
No, you said Leverkusen first.
No, and they've done well. They've done well. Where are they? They're going to qualify for the first.
They're drawing too many games this season. To be fair to them,
in the league, yes, I think he's trying to figure that out. I think it's going to be a very fascinating time. I think it's a great game because they press a lot as well, and they press high up. So it'll be good to see them. Close look at Victor Boniface, who is getting a lot of plaudits, a lot of fans. I'm not sold on him, but it's going to be good seeing Florian Wirtz in the flesh for Kieran Thorne. Big up Kieran Thorne, who has been banging on about this player since 2018, 2017. I know he's going to the game. Grimaldo, Frimpong. I think it's going to be an exciting game. I'm hoping for like a 3-2 Liverpool.
Ooh, nice.
It'll be good. And a warm welcome for Xabi Alonso.
Oh, yes. Sarib, how do you see that going on a Tuesday night?
I think there will be some rotation, especially down the left-hand side. I think he will put Robbo and Diaz back in. I think that's more of a game for them. It's going to be more end-to-end. Leverkusen like to play high with wing-backs. I think that's where Liverpool can exploit the area, especially when Frimpong, if he's playing wing-back, can be out of position. Same with Grimaldo. But we also need to understand that they are a threat as well, because ultimately they went invincible last season in the league, and in all competition they were very, very close to doing so. That game, Asim, could easily be 4-3, 4-0, or 2-1 to Bayer Leverkusen. It's that kind of game. They are a threat on the break. They've got a really, really good striker. They got Florian Wirtz, who I think is on the brink of world class, if not is world class. They score a lot of goals. They can cause a problem. Alonso as well, coming to Anfield, the emotional factor in the match. But I think they are vulnerable at the back, especially in transition. I think that's where Liverpool can hurt them, because I think our attackers are more clinical than theirs. Better with, and when you got a player like Mo Salah, it just gives you a chance, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He has tried to change the approach. He hasn't tried to be over reliant on Grimaldo and Frimpong this season either.
Yeah.
He has tried to go through the middle more through not Andrich as much, but Florian Wirtz, using the physicality of Boniface this season. But the outer men in that two, Wirtz and that midfield area, they haven't actually worked. They are leaking goals, but they were doing that last season. And they're getting exposed now of that. They can't keep coming up from like the 85th minute to the 90th minute to the 95th and grabbing a goal. That's what's caused it. But look, this is still early in his management tenure as well. Asim. He will have to figure it out, and I'm sure he will. He's a talented coach, and after what they did last season, you can't write him off that Leverkusen team.
Okay, that's the wrap. Nothing else, boys? Nothing else? Avi, is Chip and Jean back this week after about 6-month break?
Well, apparently he has sorted out the PCB now in Pakistan. He has sorted the cricket board out. Gene, they have got a new board of selectors. It isn't INSI. It's Ijaz Ahmed who's brought in, and Ramiz Raja. Good on Ramiz. So he's come back into the fold.
Is that why we won the series 2-1? Yeah.
Playing very well, very well. We are playing very well.
Before we go as well, I do want to say, Arsenal are no longer my title favourites. By the way, I have City.
We've had a change.
We've had a change of opinion. I have City to finish first.
Wait on. Sorry, not yet. Wait on.
And let me do it.
Now do it.
I've had a change of opinion, and I alluded to this on.
Falling on their ass. They're falling on their ass. They're falling on their ass.
If you want attention, you can come back as well.
No, you did. Go on.
Arsenal will not win the Premier League this season, and I'm a Liverpool fan. I believe they're too many points behind. So I have City first, Liverpool second, Arsenal third. I think it's very hard to go against Manchester City as well. Now, maybe that's a hit and hope, and I think that's the easy prediction. That's easy because if Liverpool go win the league, I can just say, oh, we did better than what I thought we did. But I ultimately think you can't look past Man City, the consistency they have over the last couple of years. They have the best players, the best manager, and I think Guardiola. This is the last season he want to also go out on a high.
Yeah.
Arnie Slot's coming.
No, joking aside, I predicted Arsenal as well.
Yeah.
And you're right. If you're 7 points behind, Liverpool 6 points behind City, it's a mountain to climb. So I understand why you changed to
next weekend is very key. Next week is again
who City got?
City have got Brighton away. Arsenal have Chelsea away. We have Villa. I think next week is another. I think it'll be a special week for us. We are winning the league. I think City are going to fall off as well.
I think we beat Villa comfortably. I think we're going to destroy that.
The Rodgers, Ramsey, McGinn midfield, it does worry me a little bit. I know they were outplayed today, but
okay. But Sarib, if you are going to City, how many points are we going to finish behind them at the end of the season?
Not many. I think it's going to be less than last season. Definitely. I think we were 10 behind them last season, or 11 or 9. It was one of those numbers. I think it's going to be close between us and City. Maybe not 90 points plus, because I think the league overall, I think there's too many good teams that can take points of each other. And we see it. Look at Nottingham Forest. Credit to Nottingham Forest, by the way, third in the league, throwing it back to the 70s. But
going off previous seasons, Sarib, just a fact: 85 wins you the league as of now. 85 will win you the league.
Why?
Last season,
they're going off by this
Opta.
They're going off by Opta. Like this season, 85 will get you those points by going off the fixtures that City have won and lost.
Opta had us to win the league in March, and they said Liverpool going to win the league. We finished third, so I don't really look at AI. I use my eyes. And
I think 85 is enough.
It is not enough.
I said 91 would be enough last season. It was. I think 85 is enough this season. I think City will drop many more points.
Avi has.
City are very vulnerable. The Gundogan re-signing of Gundogan hasn't worked. Rodgers out for the full season. People don't really. They can have De Bruyne all they want. Rodri is the linchpin of that team.
He's been.
They can't replace him, and they are not going to get a Zubimendi in January. They can't get a player that's a like for Rodri.
I've been here too many times, Asim and Avi. I've been here too many times. That January run from Kevin De Bruyne till the end of the season is gonna hurt us very, very badly.
The damage could be well. The damage could be well done before.
He does
The damage could be truly well and done before them, though, Sarib.
I think if we keep Van Dijk and Mohamed Salah fit, that could be crucial for us.
And we got a bit of Italian spice to add to this attack as well, don't we?
It's this.
Speaking of adding spice, we got Tina back next Sunday.
Unless Chiesa's got Thiago syndrome as well. He's born in Italy as well, by the way. Thiago was born in Italy.
Prediction, boys. Score prediction quickly.
4-1.
Liverpool.
4-1. Who said 4-1?
4-1 Liverpool.
Wow. Avi?
3-2 Liverpool.
I'm doing a watch along for that game. If you guys want to tune into that.
Oh yeah. Sarib's doing a watch along, so make sure you tune in. Avi, you gonna do it with him? Okay.
I did one.
See, what? Chine's gonna keep look at your eyes. You said Arsenal were gonna win it. You said Fabio Cavalli was gonna win a Ballon d'Or. Now he plays for Brentford, mate.
Oh, Chine, you said Thiago. You know, I'll go with this skill for Chine because it's Thiago stuff as well.
Leave the China stuff.
No comment then. No comment. Arsenal's not winning the league. I said it. I changed my mind. Football's an opinion game.
I think what China's trying to say is that you did say, Sarib, at the start of the season that Arsenal and City were the perimeter. And like no one's going to get close to them. Like, Liverpool are so far ahead, so far behind. You can change your mind. You are allowed to change your mind.
Let me back myself. I don't think that's crazy to say. We've got a new manager. They've had a squad for over the last 3 years that have been working together. They've improved their squad, which Arsenal did. We didn't address our problems. Arsenal got Mourinho, Calafiori, etc. in. City got Gundogan back, and
they've gotten worse. They've gotten worse.
Exactly. And that's football for you. And that's why I'm coming on the show and saying, okay, I was wrong. I've changed my mind. Because I've seen things with my eyes.
December 1st, Asim. December 1st. Yadrak.
Sabla.
We beat City at home, we're winning the league.
But remember, we got Real Madrid before that.
Don't about Real Madrid. They're done. They're dusted. Remember what I said to you and Gene, that show by Jude Bellingham. I've got that clip. It will come into fruition. It will come into a reality down the line, whether it's this season or next season.
Okay, TK. Okay, still nearly 200 people watching, even though we've been waffling and chatting nonsense for the last 10-15 minutes, and even more so 1 hour 40 minutes on a Sunday evening. I hope you like the consistent content whilst Cheen's away. I know the little dig at Cheen before we leave, but thank you very much, guys, for watching. And there's a few messages. Schnuckerleague.com. Head over to the sponsors and enjoy the 10% discount via BNR 10. We're back. We may do a preview if something breaks tomorrow. Definitely the Sarib watch along. Make sure you support him on Tuesday night. We'll do a match reaction on the Wednesday, Chip and Cheen on the Friday, and back again on Red Zone for the Sunday Staple Show. Thank you very much for watching. If you're watching now, smash a like. If you haven't, smash a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you very much. We shall see you very, very soon. Take care. And soon we'll have to end the show because my battery has gone on my mouse. So, Avi, you'll have to do it.
30 honors, mate.